If you walk into a home and you get that sense of calm, that's huge. That's huge. Because I could say maybe on a handful of hands that walking in and seeing that is pretty amazing for most homes and facilities.
Yeah. I walked into one a few months ago and it just felt tense. I immediately knew that I wasn't going to buy them.
Yep. Yep. Go with your gut for sure. For sure. There's a lot that you can go with your gut. Absolutely.
Welcome to the RAL Room Assisted Living Podcast with your hosts, Charlie Cameron and Alex Schlau. This is your go-to show for cutting-edge insights from industry leaders in residential assisted living. Whether you're ready to launch your own assisted living business or looking to invest in this fast-growing, high-impact sector, we are here to equip you with the tools, strategies, and confidence you need to succeed. Get ready to ride the silver tsunami and change the future of senior care. Now on to today's show.
This is operations office hours, and Angela, I'll let you start with any prompts or anything.
I just want to say welcome to the first operations office hours. I'm so excited to be here and answer any kind of questions that you guys have. I know I took a poll on school and there were lots of people wondering about staffing and some other questions that people consistently were having. So I'd like to just open it up and see what everybody's struggles are and where we can be helpful.
Go first, Angela.
Yeah.
I'm working on the business budget now, and I plan to have a chef. And also, so I'm trying to find out how does it work with having a chef? Is it just one chef? Do they work all the shifts? Because the residents have to eat breakfast, dinner, and lunch and dinner. So how does that work?
Yeah, so currently I do not have a chef. I have an 8-bedroom home and we do not have a chef. We are planning on having a chef in my 18-bed, and I can kind of tell you what my plans are for that. So what I am planning for my 18-bed is I am planning just to have a full-time chef, just one. So coming in probably around 6 a.m, starting prepping breakfast, getting lunch ready, and then having something ready to go for supper so that our staff can throw it in the oven, finish it off that way. And then for weekends as well, so not necessarily staffing that for the weekends, but having soups and sandwiches and kind of just something that's a little bit easier on the weekend, but still ready to go. So what I do right now is we have, like I said, we have an 8-bed. And I have my overnight person prep all of the food. So they are getting everything ready to go into the fridge. So it can be thrown into the crock pot or it can be thrown into the oven. So everything comes out fresh, but that overnight person is really responsible for chopping up the veggies, putting all of the seasoning on it, getting it to the point where it's easily prepped by our caregiver staff, because they don't really have a lot of time to do a lot of that during the day. So that is my plan for my 18-bed. I know you can really, depending on what your budget is and where you are looking, you could 100% have a chef 7 days a week and they're through the supper time hours, but that's kind of my initial plan.
Okay, awesome. No, that makes that sounds. And why did you pick 18? A lot of people are doing 16, but I'm just trying to see, is it the number that work better or?
Yeah, so for me in Wisconsin, I also take Medicaid residents. So I am in a small, fairly rural area. And so I decided to bump it up to 18 just because Wisconsin allows us to go higher than that. I think 20 is where we start needing more commercial stuff. So I could go up to 20 potentially, but I really wanted to keep it that small, intimate setting, but also have a little bit of flexibility for my residents who are on Medicaid. The other plan that I have for those extra 2 beds, so rewind here a little bit. I am underwrite or 9 in my budget to 16. What I really want is those 2 rooms to be flex rooms for our hospice residents. So we have a really great relationship with a couple different hospice agencies in the area, and they're always giving me referrals, always wanting people to come in, but they're not residents that I would necessarily want to admit. I like to admit residents when I know that potentially they have a year to 2 years left so we can get to know them. But however, I would like to open those 2 rooms up to be more short-term stays, maybe respite stays, and just have that extra flexibility in that. Really, the building cost to put additional 2 extra rooms was fairly minimal compared to the build overall. So that was my plan with those ones, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Awesome. That makes a lot of sense. Then one more question before I let everybody else go. I know everybody has questions. Night shift. Do you recommend having 2 people in the night shift or just one person?
What are you planning on having? Are you doing
16? Yeah.
It really will depend on the acuity level of your residents. If you have anybody who is requiring a Hoyer lift transfer or a mechanical lift transfer, you're going to want to have 2 people there. That is probably the recommendations through your state, but just safety and standard of care as well, having 2 people to do those lifts. With that being said, overnights can get away with doing a bed change, not necessarily having to lift people, because in reality they should be sleeping during those times, but just doing a bed change on them, not transferring them anywhere during those times. But I would recommend, if you're going to have 16, I would recommend having 2 24/7 at least.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
What else we got? We just got some new folks dial in. What's on anybody's mind regarding operations? This is your time to ask any questions.
I mean, I had a little win.
Yeah.
I think when we joined the group, which was probably, I don't know, probably a month ago, we already had an existing one. I think we bought the property. We just kind of bought the property. We've had it for 5-6 years. And most of our clients are shared, or what we call companion room. So we ended up picking up 2 clients, 2 people in the last couple of weeks or 2 months or 2 last 2 weeks. The group kind of helped from all the listening and making some changes in operations, and also making changes on how the how the tour is presented and how you close them. And usually I have to do it myself. My wife usually does it herself. My partner does it herself, but I end up joining her because I have experience in sales. And I was able to close 2 of them, because depending heavily on agents, and that kind of eats a lot on the pocket. But I think we're probably at Virginia is an 8-room, it's a max they allow. So we're probably at, I think we're at 6 now. So if I can be at 80%, it's probably around an extra 1. I think we'll be good. Then we're looking to open another one. Now the real question is, I was at the last area meeting, and I had to look at, does it make sense to buy an existing one, which is faster, and it depends on financing, or do I build? I know my partner wants to build from scratch, but that's a 3-year job, and I'm in real estate, heavily in real estate. I've done renovations and construction. It's not fun. I've done many buildings, but it's not fun. It takes a different skill. So I don't know if I want to think about 2-3 years. I look at my age at the same time. Do I really want to do this for a long time? So I have to weigh that. But I do know it's way easier to buy an existing one. I can also renovate the building. But the question is, will I find a building that I can carve out? And I've done commercial renovations too. I can carve out bedrooms and a bath, because it depends on what layout. And can I get up to 8 at the same time? So that's what I'm weighing. Do I go into new construction, which I have to do with some kind of government financing, so I can use private finance? Or do I just get by the existing one and just go get the money, buy the property? I might be able to negotiate the business financing on that. So there's a kind of a double-edged sword. I have to decide which is probably better route for me.
Yeah. There definitely are benefits to both when you want to weigh those pros and cons. A new facility or building from the scratch, like you said, it does take a lot of time. It's going to take at least probably a year to 2 years to get that up and going, versus buying an existing building. Do you have something in mind for that? Do you know of one that's available, or is it just you're still kind of looking?
I'm still looking, because we have an existing one already. What I just did was I told my because I have a virtual assistant, and I told her just go into the Virginia, I don't know, whatever the department or whatever it's called, the list of all the existing ones, and I'm probably going to double back on it. When I say double back on it, I'm going to send letters, kind of create a mail campaign. At the same time, she can just call and say, look, is it interested in selling? And
Sure.
see, I'm kind of keeping a note on both ends.
Yeah.
And then if I do see a land, and I don't want to, because it's going to take me 5 years, honestly, because it takes a year or 2 get it up and running. And two to just feel it constructing. And after 1 or 2 years, or maybe 2 years of feeling it's probably a 4 or 5 year run.
Yeah.
If I could go that route, I'd rather buy one first, a second one, then run, then use the cash flow to build the third one.
To build.
Then get rid of the ones I already have and kind of put everybody in one place. So it's a double-edged sword. So my first route now is just gonna try and buy and see the ones who are not well managed, and then kind of get into it. Then see if I can get the finance. I probably can get the finance for the building. That's the easy part for me. I think it's tougher, but I was thinking that we need to open the owner finance. We have to put some kind of money down.
Right.
The finance rate, and then as the cash flow comes in, I just pay them off and focus on a bigger one where I can do a development. But that's a different case. But that's pretty much what I got.
Yeah, no, it is. You want to just define kind of what your goals are and what your family goals are and where you want to be and what that looks like for you guys. It's great to buy an existing home, but then there are also, you have residents that are already there. You have the licensing that's already in place. So you can basically hit the ground running and start cash flowing fairly quickly versus a new build. However, there's, it could come with some risks too. You might be getting a facility that doesn't have a great reputation. You might end up with a home that's older and needing a lot of renovations or a lot of maintenance that they've been putting off for a long period of time. So it really is dependent on kind of where you guys want to go and what your goals are for that. I would say either way, you could totally make it work. It just really is dependent on kind of what you guys want and moving forward, what that looks like for you. But yeah, either way, you can't go wrong, I would say.
I'll put that in mind. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anybody have any other questions? Anything else that's weighing on your minds around operations, staffing, what it looks like day to day, what my role looks like day to day, how involved you have to be? Anything?
I'll go ahead and ask one, Angel, and maybe this will. I was just
Yeah.
going to talk to you. Yeah.
You guys, I can't be on screen because I'm in the office and so I can't be on screen. Couple of random questions as I think about it. Once you start getting staffing and you have all of your shifts, are you doing an 8? And have you played around with the 8-hour model versus the 12-hour shift? And what are you finding in terms of retention of staff on both of those?
Yeah. No, great question. So that's a big debate, the 8-hour versus the 12-hour. Around my area, 8-hour seems to be more popular with all the other assisted livings around the area. So a lot of my staff, I should say not a lot, but my core full-time staff, who I have actually 5 of them who have been with me since I opened 5 years ago. It's amazing.
Like the second question will be, how did you keep people for 5 years? Okay. Keep going.
Yeah, no, we can definitely get to that. But so my core staff that are full-time, they prefer the 8-hour shifts. Some of them actually will work other places as well. There's living facilities, they'll work part-time. And so an 8-hour shift makes it really easy if they want to do a double somewhere. So maybe they'll do a 6 to 2 with me and then go over to the other one and do a 2 to 10 or something over there. It's a 16-hour day. That's a lot for residents or for staff, but some of them like to do it, especially my part-timers. I would say that the biggest reason I went with an 8 versus a 12 is that I knew that I was going to be very involved with this business, especially early on. And I had 2 kids. One was 1-year-old and one was a newborn when we started this business. So for me personally, working an 8-hour shift was a lot more feasible and a lot easier than pulling off a 12-hour shift if I had to fill in and cover some of those staffing shortages. And like I said, my staff that I have prefer that 8-hour, but I do know that there are a lot of places that prefer those 12-hour shifts. For one, you only have 2 shifts a day that you have your AM shift and your PM shift.
Yeah. It's easier in the call outs. Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, it's easier. With 8s, you have the 3 different shifts. So, but then with 3 too, a lot of times some of my staff, so like if we do have somebody call out for, say, the PM shift, my staff are always really great at picking up a lot of that. If I can't get somebody else to pick up and new to come in, they're like, yeah, I have no problem staying an extra 4 hours. And then we can see if the knock shift can come in 4 hours early. So they split that shift, and it just works out really well to have that way for me. But I do see the benefits in the 12s. They're only working probably 3 shifts a week, maybe a little bit less burnout. Memory care is hard.
Have you done
And
hybrid? Have you ever done a hybrid where you have some staff doing 8? Because I'm assuming you're at a point where you have mixed population. So you have to double up.
Yeah, so my staffing right now, I have 2 people for the AM shift, and I sometimes actually shorten that up a little bit. We call it our short shift. So we have from 7:30 to about 12:30 when it is.
Yep.
It's like a 5-hour shift is what I do. And they come in and help with meals. They come in and help with showers. They come in and help just getting residents up, because that really is the busy time of day. The morning rush from probably 7 to 10 is like everybody's going as fast as they can, 100 miles an hour. Once 10 o'clock hits, like hitting a wall and everything's dead and there's nothing to do and they're looking around, what do I do now? And then they're prepping for lunch at that time too, or starting to get things going there. But just having a combination, and it works out really well for people who want to take a shorter shift or those who want to work longer shifts too. So it's really a matter of where are your residents at acuity level. Right now, I have 6 of my 8 are fairly independent. They're moving around on their own. They're getting themselves to the bathroom. They'll help with their showers in the morning, but I do like to flex too. So if I do have somebody who is end of life hospice care, I'll add another PM shift on and do another short shift for that knock or for the PM shift so that they can help with that PM med pass as well. Cause that gets to be another little bit more challenging time too.
Okay. This is going to be so random. This is like my randomness, I think. When you're doing, like you said, I have some hospice or some like high acuity, and you have that mixture. In Virginia, we have a UAI, so I have to do a uniform assessment for an instrument. Do you have an SOP or best practices around when you're taking on a new resident and that resident requires a hire, like where you take your growth points in terms of levels of care? I know Amanda Roberts and I have talked at it. She's gotten hers, but I'm just interested in seeing more sources of how people are identifying the levels of care and what that rubric looks like.
Great question. I actually have a level of care assessment that I complete. It probably has 15 to 20 questions on it. And this is one of the templates that will be shared through the RAL Room as well. So you guys will have access to this. But I do it initially I did it if they qualify in one area, they qualify in all areas. And I felt like I personally if they qualify for one area in level 3, I just automatically put them to a level 3, if that makes sense.
Sorry to interrupt this episode, but let's be honest. Most real estate investing right now, it's either buy a fourplex or try Airbnb and hope for the best.
Yeah, we're not here for that.
We're here to show you what we believe is the most overlooked high cash flow real estate strategy in the game right now. You guessed it, residential assisted living. It's literally the one place in real estate where you can net 6 figures on a single home and feel like a decent human being at the same time. You're helping sweet old ladies eat pancakes and play bingo and live longer through better care. You tell me what's better than that.
So we're hosting a free live webinar called How You Can Create Financial Freedom with Residential Assisted Living. No fluff, just value. And it's happening at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 6:30 Mountain Time. No excuses. It's online. Put on sweatpants. We won't judge.
We'll break down why residential assisted living is the best opportunity right now, the 5 steps to take down your first home, and how to set up a business that makes a real impact and real money.
Spots are limited, so don't be that person who DMs us in 3 months saying, wait, is it too late to start?
So hit up theralroom.com/webinar and register now.
Be the hero your grandma already thinks that you are.
We'll see you there. Pancakes not included.
Yes. So what I was doing is then personally, I didn't feel comfortable being like, just because you qualify in one area, are you really a level 3? So what I ended up doing is I changed it probably within the last 6 months to more of a point system. Independent in toileting was worth 1 point. If they needed physical assistance to get to the toilet, it was worth 3 points. And then if they needed full max assist, Hoyer lift, any sort of 2-person transfer, that type of thing, they were maybe 5 points. And then from there, I took all of those different ADLs, all the different cares that they needed. And I took all those different cares, all those different levels, and then added them up and created a point system. So if you were within 15 to 30 points, you were considered a level 1. 30 to 40 points was considered a level 2, and then 40 to 50 or whatever was a level 3. Is how I broke it up and did that.
Like I said, that level, because that's amazing, and that's where I want to be, like a total point.
Yeah.
Give them
Yep.
a range, take all the guesswork out of it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do
Mhm.
have that template I sent it to Aaron, and I don't know when everything is getting posted into school. Maybe Luke might have a little bit more information on that, but as of right now, it's whenever gets in there, then it'll be available for you guys to look at and use.
Yes, that is, we aren't ready to announce that just yet, but it's coming soon. No,
Sorry.
it's fine to announce it. I think it's something to look forward to because it's going to be amazing. Yeah, you didn't mess up, Angela. I think,
Totally messed up. I got
yeah,
it.
I think
And I
it's,
got it recorded. It's done.
yeah, this is on record. But no, that's perfectly fine. We just haven't put our full review on it and ready to put it out there, but it's going to be so helpful for everyone. It's an amazing spot, and be looking forward to that soon. What I mean by not ready to announce yet is the announcement of giving that to everybody just yet.
Okay. And then my last question for right now, and I'll keep joining. And I apologize because my work is nuts. I'm trying to walk away from the madness, the loudness. When you have or how are you structuring or scheduling team meetings when you have 3 shifts? And I assume it could be a real challenge to get night shift and morning shift all available without paying overtime or having to deal with that. So how are you leveraging communication? Are you using a board? Is it text? Is it like, tell me what the real world in a smaller environment, how that's working out?
Yeah. No, great question. That is a challenge for sure, especially with our knock shifts. So getting the overnights to come into staff meetings during the day is almost impossible.
Right.
It is very hard. And I understand. They've been awake all night. They need to sleep. It'd be like asking me to come in at 3:00 in the morning to come in for a meeting. It's
Right.
not feasible. So what we do is we try to schedule our staff meetings about 1:30. So our shifts are from 6 to 2. So I schedule a staff meeting at about 1:30 to 2:30 so that at least it overlaps with those 2 shifts.
A good idea.
Yep, so that they are AMs and PM shifts overlap. They each have a half hour on each side. They have to come in a half hour early. For overnights, it's a challenge. What I typically do is I video record my staff meetings and then send them out, have a few questions that they need to answer, saying that they watched it or they understand. And then I'll put meeting notes out too that everybody needs to sign and make sure that they understand what was talked about, the new policies that are in place, or what the new procedures are with everything. But making sure that those overnights are involved is really challenging. And I, to be honest, haven't come up with a great solution other than the video calls. To be completely frank, it's a challenge.
And I promise this is my last question.
No worries.
Sorry.
Great.
Do you load the night staff with more cleaning? I was just trying to figure out in my mind. I was like, the day people, I worked in a facility, clinicals, and you're right, 6 a.m. to 2 or 6 a.m. to 12 is like, there's no cleaning. It's just keeping up, getting showers, getting cues, getting breakfast, getting activities, and then it dies down. And I'm assuming it picks up a little bit at dinner, but then it really dies down. Do you tend to put more of the maintenance task on your knock staff?
I
And then
do.
Okay.
Yes.
That's
Yep.
what I thought.
100%. All of the cleaning inside of the home, like with the exception of the resident rooms, is done on the overnight. I have them mop floors, vacuum carpets, wipe everything down, wipe the counters, clean the kitchen, do everything that's not a resident room. For the resident rooms, I have our PM staff do that. So they usually have a little bit extra time to pop in there. It's not quite that crazy time typically from 3 to close to 4:30-ish. They have that time to go into the room. Mike, knock stands for overnight. I'm not sure what the actual, sorry about that. I'm not sure what the actual, I think it's Latin for something, but overnight, nocturnal, maybe. I don't know. That might be it. But so yeah, so then that PM shift, which is the 2 to 10 shift, has time. I have a set schedule. Room 1, you're going to clean on Tuesdays. Room 2, you're going to clean on Wednesdays. And so typically they only have to go into 1 or 2 rooms to get those done on that shift, take some 20-ish minutes or so, and then they're in and out and have time to complete all the other duties of the shift. Does that make sense?
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Did you, when you bought your place got your place, was it an operations already?
No. So it had previously been licensed as an assisted living, and it had been vacant for about 3 years. Somebody was just living in it, taking care of it, renting it, but there was no license involved, and it was just a vacant home.
Yeah, my biggest concern is buying an existing up and running that's got residents and staff and everything in place. Does the culture match up to the culture that I want to have there? And that process of going through I'm sure I'll do okay with it because I'm a relationship person, but it's just it's an unknown for me. You're stepping into an environment, and any other company I've ever bought, it's always been like you step in, you think it's one thing, and you get there and it's, oh my goodness.
Yes.
Yeah, so
yes. And I was going to say, doing your due diligence on that and learning them, and maybe even following along for a day or two to see kind of what that culture is like. I think your house manager. So we actually looked into purchasing one that was currently operable as a 15-bed. It's about 45 minutes away from where I live right now. And we did not decide to go through with it basically because of what you are experiencing right now. Their reputation wasn't super great. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't the best. I didn't really get along personally with the house manager. I didn't feel like we were a good fit business wise. And that is the reason why I just said, nope, we're gonna just build from scratch and build my own so that I can make it how I want it and know that everything, I don't have to necessarily weed out those that are not a good fit, because they obviously have their own culture that's been built for however long that they have been operating, and to come in as a new person would be a challenge if it's not a good fit for you guys too.
that's good. Yeah. Spend more time there.
Right.
I liked it when I first went. It felt good. You
Yeah.
know, when you walk in and you're kind of like, wow, it just felt good. People seemed to get along and it was peaceful. The owner you can tell he's not there every day, but he had a really good relationship with his staff and stuff. And
Yeah. I would take those all as green flags and continue to do that due diligence if it's something that you're looking to do or to buy. But yeah, if you walk into a home and you get that sense of calm, that's huge. That's huge, because I could say maybe on a handful of hands that walking in and seeing that is pretty amazing for most homes and facilities.
yeah, I walked into one a few months ago and it just felt tense. I immediately knew that I wasn't going to buy them.
Yep. Go with your gut for sure. There's a lot that you can go with your gut. Absolutely.
Do you operate with an administrator or are you the administrator?
I am an administrator, but actually my registered nurse who I have on site 3 days a week is the administrator. As far as the licensing goes, she's also the registered nurse, but then I fill in on those days that she is not there as administrator.
I'm not deep enough to have really specific questions yet, but I'm sure lots will come.
That's okay. Anybody else have anything?
I can go all day. We're just going to run out of time, and I'll just keep questions. Talk to me about, and we'll switch a little bit from the staffing aspect to the relationship management with your clients, which aside from the residents who are our ultimate clients, how are you communicating to, and how frequently are you communicating to the families of the residents to keep them engaged and involved? And from the time that you tour them, can you give me an idea, or do you have a playbook what that looks like from the point that they're like, yep, you're the right one, all the way through move-in, and then the check-in afterward, and then the periodic? How are you doing that?
Yeah.
That's a big question, and I'm sorry, you can break it down.
No, that's a great question. When somebody comes in to tour, I or my nurse are the ones that are providing the tour. So I really like to get myself involved, my nurse involved, either one of us two in management, to make sure that we're doing it the right way, meeting all of their needs, getting to know what their needs are. And so typically after a tour, if they don't sign on by my wait list right away, I typically follow up with them within a few days. I give them 3 or 4 days. Just be like, hey, it was so great to meet you. I appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much. Do you have any other questions that you have for me? Or is there any way that I can help? I really like to provide as much, even if they're not going to move in with us, I really like to provide as much value as I can, because I know options are so limited. We have a long wait list and we really don't have a lot of turnover. So a lot of times when tours do come in, I am probably not going to be the one that they decide to go with, because we just don't have space and we don't have enough rooms available and enough turnover for that to happen. I point them into the direction of resources around the area, the Aging and Disability Resource Center in our area, or different assisted living facilities that I know I have really good relationships with. Providing those resources to them within a few days is typically my plan after the tour. Once somebody does move in, we are in really close contact with our families. And my nurse does a lot of this too, but we check in with a couple days. How is everything going? Are there any concerns that you have? Here's their care plan that we've created. We need them to sign the care plan if they're review this for us. And then at a very minimum, I meet with our families every 6 months. So we'll have a care coordination meeting that we are all sitting down together with all of the people who are involved in their loved one's care. They can come sit down. We review the care plan. We review any concerns. Give them our satisfaction survey that we have, but at very minimum every 6 months. Now, with that being said, we probably communicate on a weekly basis with most of our residents and their families. Anytime that there's a doctor's appointment that they're going out to, anytime that there's a concern, anytime that an incident report is filed, a fall, any sort of behavior, we are constantly in contact with them and keeping them updated as to what is going on. So it's not a shock if I have to move them to level 2 or level 3. They know far in advance that's coming. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this. Is probably not best practice, but I do give my phone number to most of our staff or our families as well, so that they can contact me if they have any questions. Families are really good for the most part at respecting those boundaries and making sure that they're not texting me at 9 o'clock at night or something like that. You'll get a few oddballs here and there, and then we kind of just direct them like, nope, this is the staff phone number. You should direct this question to the staff number or something like that. So yeah. I don't know if that answered the question completely, but very often is as much more communication is better. That's a lot of times when family members are coming into us for a tour and their loved one lives somewhere else. Like if they were at another assisted living facility, that is the number one complaint that I always get is they didn't tell us that their level of care was going to change. They didn't tell us that mom was going to had falls. They didn't tell us that this medication was missed. So over communicating is our jam. And sometimes families get sick of it, but hey, they need to know. So did that answer your question at all?
Question for you. So do you use a CRM, some kind of platform to communicate with your just in case I don't hear my phone number right, and I want to give a trail?
I do have a CRM. It is through ECP.
Okay.
Is the EMAR that I use, and ECP has their own CRM. I wouldn't say that it is necessarily super beneficial.
Okay.
It's more of just like a tracker as far as keeping track of what needs to be done, who's on your wait list. There aren't a lot of features in it, like you can't send out mass emails or mass marketing type things through ECP. So in that regard, no. I know there are some, like when we become a little bit bigger and when my 18 bed is open, I plan on having more of I actually just heard about it yesterday, and I forget what it's called. It's like Google number, but it's a little bit different, and you can put barriers and boundaries up. gosh, I wish I remembered the name of it right now. It's like phone something.
Okay.
But you can still use your personal phone, but there's boundaries. And I could have the phone number go to both me and my administrator, or like when we're closed after 5 o'clock, they're not able to contact, and it just goes directly to voicemail type of thing. So there are things like that out there that you can use to put those boundaries in place as well.
Does the CRM, does it have the clients, their family, or you just have to call and text them directly?
Yeah, no, that
Okay.
CRM does not do any of that.
Okay.
ECP. Email is another thing that I use quite frequently if I'm sending out updates for the facility. I'm sending out, this is our activity schedule for the month. These are when we're going to go out on our outings. I use email for a lot of that too.
Okay.
But yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Angela, you use ECP, which is, I think, one of the big boys. I think they're like one of the bigger systems that people use.
Yeah.
Is it out of bounds, or would it break your license agreement to ever do like a demo of it just to the RAL room to show us how you're using it? I'm not far enough along that I have to buy that right now. And there's been a couple different vendors that have come into the RAL room that I'm like, and they have their pros and their cons. I think ECP is one of the bigger ones, but I think it probably comes with a bigger price tag. And so I'm just wondering your experience, what you use, what you don't use. That's the one area that would give me pause as I'm making selections for technology.
Yeah. So ECP is great. I have been using them for the last 5 years. However, with that being said, I am looking at moving to a different one, just because it does not have, for our small 8-bedroom, it's been working fantastic. As I grow, as I get bigger, as I need more alerts, as I need more support to grow, I don't know that ECP is going to be the best fit anymore for when I'm an 18 bed.
I might be thinking of the wrong platform. So in terms of the platforms you're considering, so that's fantastic news. I thought ECP was bigger. It's not.
Yeah.
What are the platforms you're considering?
Yeah, so I just recently had a demo with Synkwise, and I was with them for a while. I chose not to go with them either, and I am looking at Alice right now. So ALIS is the one that I am considering moving to. And like I said, ECP has been great, and I think it's very user-friendly. They have a lot of features in it that are really good. However, my biggest drawback and my biggest concern is that I don't get alerts as to like when things are, like if things are coming up due or past due. I don't get alerted to that. My nurse doesn't get alerted to it. And sometimes things like, as far as like compliance, like our fire drills or whatever it might be, I am still having to track a lot of that on paper and to make sure that it gets done. And I don't feel like that's necessary. If you have an electronic health record, it should all be there. I should be notified of that it's happening. I have all of my alerts and everything set up in ECP, but I would say it's about 50% of the time that I actually get alerted that it needs to happen. So it's not great in that regards. Otherwise, it's been really good for us as a smaller community. But as I grow, like I said, there's going to be more people, there's going to be more assessments, there's going to be more that needs to be done. And I need to know when things are due and not due. And that's my biggest drawback with them. I know that we did have ECP come in and do a demo on the RAL room. So if you look back in some past recordings, they did come in and do that. And I know we are looking to have Alice potentially come in as well and do a demo for them as well. So you can kind of compare the two and see where they lie. But yeah.
Did Alice do like prescription integrations? And it's like, these are the things that would keep me up at night. One, not getting signaled that I'm going to miss an assessment that needs to be done for like things that could create a violation if inspector comes on site and asks to get into your records. Like those are the things that bother me. And that prescription alignment is just something like in my personal life, I'm terrible. Yeah. Terrible. So I need the system to do the heavy lifting for me. Do you believe Alice has good integrations with some of the pharmacies?
Yes. Yep. So Alice does have integrations with pharmacies. So does ECP, and they do a good job of that as well. But you need to make sure that your pharmacy is the one that has the software that connects with the program that you're going to plan on using. So with the EMR that you plan on having, you need to make sure that pharmacy, so whatever pharmacy you choose, integrates with that specific software, because that's where you're going to come up with the challenges. If there's a lot of great EMRs out there. I shouldn't say a lot, but there's EMRs out there, but only some of them integrate with certain pharmacies, or some pharmacies only have that connection with their certain software. And I don't know how it works on the back end at pharmacy, but you just want to make sure that whatever pharmacy you choose integrates with the software that you have. If that makes sense.
Besides using a big pharmacy, what are you using?
Yeah, I actually, so we just changed. We actually use just a local pharmacy that's about an hour away from us. And they've been fantastic. Their name is Long-Term Care Pharmacy. And so they deliver to small adult family homes, small assisted livings, some bigger assisted livings. And so that's their main clientele is homes, but there are bigger ones out there too that you can use too. So it just depends on what fits your need. Yeah.
Guys, we have 5 minutes left. Any parting questions? This has been great questions, and Jeannie, you've been leading the charge. What else are people thinking? Nobel, are you still on? Yeah, Nobel, you're on mute, but we had exchanged some messages in school. You're top of mind for me, so I'm wondering how things are going for you. We can connect offline since we only have a few minutes, but I saw your name. We can connect later if you want.
Thanks for checking in.
All right, any parting questions? I'll ask one. Angela, with your organizational structure at your home, how much, if you were to step away from your current role, how would you be involved at the home? And as you scale, this is top of mind, I'm sure, and all of us should be thinking this way, like, how would I replace myself? What would that look like for you, and what would be required to do that?
Yeah, so with the 8 that I have, budget-wise, it is very hard to fully replace myself and have a full-time administrator running everything from the day to day. Like I said, I have my registered nurse who is in there 3 days a week. And then right now I'm kind of covering the other 2 days a week. I would say that it has taken a long time to get to this point, probably at least a good 2 years of developing her skills, making sure that she is doing things the way that I would do them. But right now I have a fantastic administrator. She does things better than I can do them. And I could probably step away from my business for quite a while. Right now, my main responsibility is handling everything related to financials. I like to be involved. So that's probably partly at this point, my drawback too. But as I scale, my goal is to have my administrator, have an assistant administrator, and have that 2-manager type system so that there's somebody to fall back on, that not necessarily myself. It makes it, like I said, it makes it really challenging with our budget the way it is with an 8-bedroom. My goal when we have our 16 to 18 is that I can step away and leave for a month, and my business will continue to run itself. And I feel like we will get there. It probably will take another year once the new build is up and running and training that assistant manager in. But once we get to that point, I think that I have all of my systems in place, all of our processes. My current RN knows how I do things and how I run things. And maybe I just have to check in and do the financial and payroll from abroad, wherever I might be at that point. It is very important to be able to have kind of those systems and those operating procedures in place so you can step away. But I would say that it has taken far longer than I ever anticipated for that to happen. Initially, I'll just say it, I was very naive when I got into this business. I was working full-time somewhere else, and I thought, I'm going to hire this administrator full-time and she's just going to run it. That's just going to be how it is. And that is not how it is. Just full transparency. If you want your business to be the best in the area, if you want to take care of your residents and have them top-notch care, really the owner does need to be involved to some degree, at least for a while, until one can trust somebody that can take over and do things as well as you can.
The saying, like, hey, nobody's going to take care of it like it's yours.
Yeah.
It definitely rings true. I do think that the who, not how also applies. There are special people out there that can do things better than you. You hit on that too. But no, that's a great answer. I know that's not necessarily the whole idea of this, but it's something that I wanted to challenge everybody to be thinking about. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, guys, that's it for this Wednesday. Angela, thank you for your time and your sharing your wisdom and experience and great questions, guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It was great to see you guys all.
Thank you, Angela.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Looks nice and green where
Everyone.
you're at, Angela. I'm jealous.
it is finally. Summer in Wisconsin is here.
Yeah, beautiful.
All
Hey,
right.
guys,
Take
have a
care.
great one.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the RAL Room Assisted Living Podcast. We hope you found today's episode insightful. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave us a raving 5-star review. And a quick review helps more listeners find the show and more seniors get the exceptional care they deserve.
And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And just so you know, we have prepared some free resources for you to help you succeed in residential assisted living in addition to this podcast. Head over to theralroom.com, that is the RAL room.com, to download our free 10-step guide to launch your first or next residential assisted living home, or our 10 reasons to passively invest in residential assisted living ebooks.
And if you're ready to take the next step and make real moves in the RAL industry, join us in the RAL Room Mastermind. It is an exclusive community where we deep dive into everything you need to launch and grow your own residential assisted living business. You'll get access to recorded courses, live calls with industry experts, a RAL calculator, resources and tools, like-minded entrepreneurs, funding opportunities, and an expert networking community to help you along your journey. Be sure to join us next time on the RAL Room podcast as we continue to explore the world of residential assisted living with more great guests. See you then.